Kevin, just what was it, do you think, that made Howard Kendall such a great manager for Everton Football Club?
Well, considering it was a pretty young side, I think it was mainly, one of the reasons was definitely treated us like adults. Didn't want to sort of, be regimental style. Put a lot of onus on ourselves to behave. And with that respect, I think there was one or two people that stepped out of line. But when you stepped out of line, you had maybe 10 or 12 other lads on your back as well as the manager, which was a good thing. But his ability at half time to come in, pinpoint positions, pinpoint things, the information he gave you, and it was just spot on. And more often than not, if you went by what he said and rectified whatever you were doing wrong, you'd win the game. And that was the most important thing I thought about it as a manager and a coach, that if your most important time is half time, and if you can pick things up and give the right information out, then more often than not you come off the winners.
He was very astute in the transfer market, wasn't he? Both ends of the spectrum. He gambled a lot of money then on young Trevor Stephen, and he brought an experienced old campaigner in like Andy Gray, and they were both magnificent signings.
For the money that they spent in them days, yeah. I mean, financially, things weren't healthy. I think he had to break the banking, spending 200,000 on Andy Gray. A big gamble at the time. And when you think 200 grand and recoup the 200 grand when he sold him, Gary Lineker for 800, sold him for 1.5. Peter Reid for 60 grand. Derek Mountfield 30, Kevin Sheedy 100 with Alan Harper. Really, the makings of the side, very, very cheap. People will always go on about what about the other people when he signed them, the 7 players. But I think them 7 players when he first come in, really he'd never really thought that the youngsters like myself, Graham Sharp, Kev Richardson, Trevor Stephen, were going to be anywhere near the first team. And that certainly, was most probably a big boost for him but not without really realising it. But that there was a lot of good signings as well. As a manager, you always make the odd one or two, but you've got to be remembered for your good ones, haven't you? And that's what he is.
How important was Colin Harvey to that side as well?
Well, Colin was, I was privileged and lucky enough to have Colin right the way up from the youth team. When I obviously progressed into the reserves, he was reserve team manager, and then progressed into the first team, and within a year or two Colin was made the first team coach, and I think that was one of the best decisions that he had made, is promoting Colin with Mick Heaton into the first team squad, because there was a lot of lads that had the belief in Colin already, and when you've got the talent, and the biggest thing that Colin gave for me as a kid was he didn't like to lose. I've played 5-a-sides with Colin, and they've gone on for an hour and a half too long because he was losing. And the Wednesday 5-a-sides on the bowling green at Belfield would go on a long time, and more often than not Colin won.
They complemented each other very well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Everybody will say how good of a coach Colin was. Let's not take the fact away that Howard was a very good coach himself. When he come in, the way that he got the back four together, the way that he worked with them, what he wanted to do, it didn't work overnight. It took maybe two or 3 years to happen, but it happened in the end, and it was just getting the right players in to play the system and the way that he wanted you to play. You have luck on your side by, as a manager, you don't realise until you become a manager that sometimes your cards are played for you and you can't do anything else. And I'm sure on 1 or 2 occasions that's happened, and what you maybe not have thought about or even dreamed about doing has just happened. You've had to do it.
He was massive on team spirit, Howard, wasn't he? To great effect.
Well, definitely, and it was a big part of our team, the team spirit. We were together. You're together for more or less 10 months of the year anyway, so you've got to get on well. You don't get on with everybody. You can't. It's impossible. Everybody can't get on. And there's some people I haven't. You wouldn't have time of the day for now. But at the end of the day, you're with each other for 10 months, and you get on with it, and you die for each other on the pitch, and that's what we did do. There There's about 16 of us. That you know, if we went out for a drink, there was 16 lads that went out, or maybe 12. You know, but the majority of the team would go out and have that one drink, even if it was only the one. There'd be the odd one or two that would stay out, you know, for 3 or 4 hours, but everybody would go for at least one. And Howard installed that, because we used to come back off the coach and we used to go, I think, to the Bulldog, and we'd have a pint there after the game. You know, if we travelled home from a game, so it was good. It was the start of a good relationship between staff and players.